we'll get that after, okay? Yes. We have a question about hummus, but we'll get to that after. I was also completely freezing and needed to leave the dairy.
We are freezing. We hope you're toasty at home.
Oh,
we are moving along.
Here. Oh, this is a good tip.
And thank you for hanging in with us. I know we've been broadcasting for about 46 minutes already.
Oh my, okay.
Oh, good.
Well, we're going to keep going on and on.
A lot of good information.
This is a brand of protein powder that I recommend to clients. And the reason that I recommend this one is that it is a vegan protein, so there aren't any animal products in here. It's gluten-free and it's soy-free. And I like it because it's high in protein. It tastes really good. I like chocolate. I'm a chocoholic. And it also has an amino acid called L-glutamine, which is really good for digestion. And this is a way to make a really fast meal. It's a way to make a smoothie into a meal. I have a lot of clients who are working. They get home from work in the evening and they're calling for takeout. Well, this is a lot easier than takeout, is to make yourself a fruit and vegetable smoothie and add this protein to it.
So I have a question. We're
Yes.
looking at the Vega One brand, and there's Vega One and Vega Sport. So what would be the difference?
Yes. So it's actually pronounced Vega.
Oh,
just
Vega.
so you know. So the difference is Vega One is more of a supplement. There are superfoods in here, so you get like your greens powder, your reds powder in here. And this is more of the Vega Sport is more of a protein powder. And so you choose for yourself. But I'm a big fan of this because of the L-glutamine that's in here.
Can you just sprinkle that in food just to get a little extra protein here and there?
Great, a fantastic question. So Allison asked, can you just sprinkle that into food to add protein? And I'm smiling because my go-to breakfast is frozen berries with the protein powder sprinkled on top of it.
Wow.
So, and it's also a great thing to add to oatmeal, right? Because oatmeal doesn't have much protein in it, and so this is a way to add protein. It's also a great way to add flavor without adding sugar.
Now, when you sprinkle it on top, are you just gauging it like literally a sprinkle, or is it a teaspoon? Like, how much?
Good question. So, because I'm 4'11", I have half a serving. So one scoop would maybe be for a grown man, and for me, a half a scoop is fine. So you have to find, how much. So that's 15 grams of protein. That's a great amount of protein at a meal for someone my size. But again, for a grown man, perhaps they, would need the 30 grams of protein. Well, it's based on your sex. It's based on your weight. It's based on your physical activity. But pretty much, we're not facing a widespread protein deficiency in the United States. Okay, so and we can get all of our protein from green leafy vegetables, and there's plenty of protein in non-animal products.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find, like how do I have iron and things like that from other sources. Like, how do I balance my meal? I know how to get protein.
Right.
How do I balance my meal if I'm not eating greens with other things?
Right.
To kind of give me all of the nutrients that you need in a day, and that's one of the problems.
Well, something that I tell clients very often is, this is a little figurative, but if you think about your plate being round and being a circle, think about half your plate at every meal being green vegetables. So that could be your salad, it could be broccoli, cauliflower, any kind of cruciferous vegetable. A quarter of your plate would be your lean protein or healthfully prepared protein. And then a quarter of your plate would be what I call the colorful carbs. So that could be your sweet potato, your carrots, your whole grain. So that's a good guide for a healthful meal.
Ideas, not necessarily. Like, I know the proportion, I'm just looking for other ideas.
Okay. Well, a good way to add variety to your diet is to think seasonally, right? So we're now in the spring season, and so if you eat foods that are in season in the spring, and then change when the foods become seasonal in the summer. You're always going to have variety. And here on Long Island, the farmers markets start in a few weeks, and that is a great place to visit to see what's actually in season where we live. And so this time of year, you're going to find more sprouts, you're going to find more lettuces, radishes, asparagus, things like that.
Farmers markets are not organic though, are
There is one organic farmers market on Long Island that's in Port Washington on Saturday. But when you go to the farmers market, you can ask the farmer. So at my favorite farmers market is right over here at Christopher Morley Park on Wednesdays from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. And I do tours there as well. And Terry Farm is represented there. Now they do not have the organic seal. It is a very costly process to get that organic seal. But the only food that they spray, that they grow, is their corn. And they're very honest about it. They use non-GMO seed. They don't use a lot of fertilizers, and they don't use a lot of pesticides. But they basically wouldn't have a corn crop unless they used some pesticide. So when you go to a farmer's market, you can actually ask the farmer, how do you raise your chickens? What do you feed them? How do you grow your asparagus? And it's very joyful, and you also can then try foods you've never tried. Like, for instance, kohlrabi. Has anyone ever heard of kohlrabi? Anthony has, of course, and Elizabeth. But this is a food that you're most likely going to find at a farmer's market, and you can ask the farmer, what is this food? How do you prepare it? You can Google kohlrabi, and then try something new and add variety. Okay. All right, we have to go to the chocolate aisle.
On to chocolate. What time does the store close, MaryAnn?
10 o'clock.
So we're fine. So we can all do our shopping after.
All right, well, I think we're going to try to wrap it up at 9. But again, if you get any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If we get questions on Facebook, I'm happy to answer them. Okay? All right, come on in.
I'll just hold the mic like this.
All right, we want to try this one. Wow, we are so lucky tonight to have Anthony. Usually I'm not as brave to open things up, so we're really getting to try a lot of things. So let's just show the packaging. So this again is the 365 brand. It's dark chocolate. It's 67% cacao, and I'll explain what that means. So if something is labeled dark chocolate, that means that it's higher in cacao, which is the actual chocolate seed, and lower in sugar. So the higher that count, the less sugar that you're getting. Now, the actual cocoa bean that grows in South America is a superfood. And it has tons of nutrients. It's very high in antioxidants. But when we add milk and sugar to the chocolate, it becomes unhealthy for us, right? So in dark chocolate, you're not getting the milk. Milk actually blocks the absorption of the antioxidants in the chocolate from your body absorbing them. And typically, 1 ounce of dark chocolate a day is considered healthy, and also considered a part of a plan that, potentially would be part of a weight loss plan. So you don't have to necessarily sacrifice chocolate if you have health goals. I would prefer it to be 80-85% chocolate, and chocolate can be very much like wine. Different chocolate has different flavor, and if you take away the sugar and the milk, you actually taste the bitterness and the wonderful taste of the chocolate. You can also get chocolate as cocoa powder. Let's see. Where is the cocoa powder? It used to be up here. Here we go. Okay. So this is 100% pure cocoa powder. And you want to make sure when you buy cocoa powder that you don't buy it Dutched. Have you ever heard of that term, Dutch chocolate? And it sounds pretty amazing, right? Dutch chocolate, like the Dutch made this chocolate. I love the Dutch. What's not to love? But what it actually means is that it has been processed. and they add aluminum to the chocolate so that it doesn't clump. All right, and again, they don't have to put this on the label. So just avoid any cocoa that says it's Dutched. And here at Whole Foods, they protect you from that. Now, this is something that, let's say you're making a green smoothie, right? You put your frozen berries into the blender with some unsweetened almond milk and some spinach, but you really want some chocolate flavor. You could take a teaspoon of this and put it in, and it's going to add so much richness. It's almost like if you've had a Mexican mole sauce. You're really going to have that like cocoa undertone, and it's really healthy fat for you. It's going to be very satisfying, and again, it's adding variety. Like what things can you add to your staples to make it interesting and fun?
I just got a recipe from someone: 2 frozen bananas, a tablespoon of cocoa powder, and 2 tablespoons of peanut butter in the blender.
Oh my!
It's supposed to taste like ice cream.
Well,
She
I
said it
don't see how that could be bad. I don't know if you heard that, but 2 bananas in the blender with frozen with cocoa powder and peanut butter. Okay, just make sure your peanut butter is organic. It's a highly sprayed crop and doesn't have sugar or added oils. The other section I really like to talk about are spices and salt. So let me show you my favorite salt. Okay, this is my favorite salt. It's called Redmond's Real Salt. There's a large label on it that says real salt, and I'll pass it around, and you can see that it has all the minerals left in the salt. Now, if you were
I was going to say,
yes.
last time I did this tour, I changed all my salt containers to that, and it's made, I just feel healthier after you're going to tell everybody. So I want you to share, because
Yes.
I was astounded with the salt.
Yes, I mean, salt is such an easy thing to change, and it's something that you use every day, so it's going to have a big impact on your health and wellness. And most of the salt that we're having has been processed within an inch of its life. It's been bleached so that it's white. It doesn't have all the beautiful colors that this one does. And they also add a declumping agent to it, because somehow Americans, can't be bothered with clumpy salt. This would just be way too inconvenient for us. So I don't mind clumps. I just don't want the chemicals. So use the salt you probably have, to kill the slugs in your yard, or to melt the salt, to melt the snow. But use this salt on your food, and it has all the trace minerals that our body needs in order to work properly.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So a majority of people probably have Morton salt in the blue container.
Yes.
And so that has chemicals in it and it's processed.
You can Google Morton salt, and you can see their plant outside of Chicago, and you can see where they store the salt right next to the interstate. Okay, and so it's been processed, and it has a chemical added to it. So, and I very often, what's a question do you think that I always get about salt? High blood pressure. So the salt that we add to our food is only 11% of the salt that we ingest. A very small percentage. Most of the salt that we ingest that is doing damage to us is from processed foods.
Look at iodine.
Iodine. So this salt, real salt, has its natural iodine from when it was part of the sea. When you get a processed salt, it has been iodized, because the government says that in order to sell salt, it has to have iodine. So because it's been demineralized in the bleaching process, they have to add it back synthetically. Ew, is what I said. Okay? So
Did you hear that right? Ew.
Ew, it was a big ew. So Celtic or Celtic, I think some people pronounce it, salt is good as well. Himalayan salt is excellent. But this is my favorite because it's very well priced. You can find it here at Whole Foods. Anthony, don't listen, but you can also get it on Amazon. And so you can find it different places. It's easily acceptable, because I can recommend foods, but if you can't find them, what good are they for you? All right. So have I got everybody changing over their salt? All right. We hope so. We hope. But so Lily just said, I hardly ever use salt. And this is something that might be a further discussion.